And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is the hip hop inspired member of your favorite late 90s boy band here. Time to bring back the tier list series. Look, at the end of every single month, I rank every position and every card in those positions. Today, we're starting with the point guard tier, which means when the primetime packs come out later, we're absolutely going to get a pink diamond point guard. This is typically how this works. So, if you are new to the tier list, let's get some parameters out of the way right off the bat. I try to rank as fairly as possible. I try to take all play styles, all of them, into consideration. I also try to rank between both gens. And I also try to rank cards as if they are fresh out of the box and not badged up, but I will make certain exceptions and I will tell you when those are. So, S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. These guys are absolutely fake, and I will explain exactly why they are there. A tier, just a shade under S tier. Maybe they have like one or two little weaknesses, of which I will explain. B tier, this is what majority of the community is going to use at their point guard position. Let's be real, some of your favorite cards are going to be in B tier, and you're going to be upset about it. That's fine. C tier, either these guys are like outdated or they have some very glaring weaknesses, but they're still like usable in certain fashions. D tier, you can do better, but they still have some use. And F tier. Now, these cards aren't necessarily trash, which is why I don't have trash tier. I usually don't bring out trash tier until season 4 or 5. Typically, it's like when I'll bring out the trash tier, because I think cards are all usable at this point in a certain capacity. So, that being said, let's get underway. D Brown, D tier. He's pretty decent. I mean, he attacks the rim well, he shoots, he plays okay defense. He's a little bit small, but he's fast. He came out in season 1, though. I mean, C tier kind of makes sense for him. I don't think anyone's going to argue that, but you never know. Andre Miller, F. Now look. Some people like this card a lot. And look, if we're talking about a limited requirement that makes you use a 75 or lower 3, he's S tier. But in normal everyday play, he's just an F tier guy. There's still value to be had there, but he's a strictly facilitating point guard. And he also isn't really the greatest rim runner either, in addition to not being the greatest shooter. He does have a decent jump shot, though. F. Bob Cousy, C. I mean, he's just outdated. He came out season 1. I mean, he's decent, though. He shoots really well. He's got some just massive thighs, which I never noticed before. Very hairy. Bob Cousy looks to be the most hairiest NBA player of all time. No, Bob Pettit is actually the furriest NBA player I've ever seen in my entire life. Certainly. He never grew a beard, but I have to assume it would have been majestic. His chest hair grew thicker than my facial hair does now. Bob Cousy also used to do advertisements for cigarettes back in the day while playing in the NBA, which is just impressive. Cole Anthony. I think I'm higher on Cole Anthony than a lot of people are. I actually really like this card. He attacks the rim well, he facilitates, he can shoot really well. He actually plays surprisingly competent defense, and he's cheap. B tier makes sense. He'll end up being like lower spectrum B tier, but he's still good though. Damon Jones. I would say D tier for Damon Jones. I don't really think he's the greatest card in the world, if I'm being honest. Like, he's okay. He's a good shooter, and that's about it. That's typically what all the Damon Jones cards are when they first come out. Dave Bing. Look, he's the best card in C tier if we're talking about overall. But he has the most atrocious jump shot in the game. That being said, on current gen, it's actually not that bad. It's still, like, arguably the worst jump shot in the game, but, like, it's better than you would expect, if that makes sense at all. It's like the best way I can describe it. But on a point guard, it's just not good. I think it's a decent catch and shoot jump shot, but it is horrendous. Davion Mitchell. C, I am sure. I would say not even just sure. I'm absolutely certain somebody will try to tell me that Davion Mitchell deserves to be in B tier because they gave him 4 Hoff badges. Because that always happens when I do these tier lists. I think badge additions were actually the worst possible thing for me doing tier lists to ever exist. Because they make people who have souped up budget cards think they're like A tier, when in actuality they're C tier. Like I said, if you put 5 Hoff badges on a card, yes, it's going to be better than a base set Cole Anthony. All right. Davion Mitchell is an excellent Sapphire card, but C tier makes sense. I still have a guy who dislikes every single one of my videos because I put Ruby Kevin Porter Jr., who I will note he added a bunch of badges to, down at the very top of C tier in April, while there were Dark Matters in every pack instead of putting him in like low B tiers. People take tier lists pretty serious. Don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy. De'Aaron Fox. He's still really, really fast and he can shoot decently. Like if you can time his jump shot. But yeah, his time is kind of past. He came out in season 1. So now just superior in every single way, De'Aaron Fox. Dejante Murray. I love this card. He is fantastic. If I didn't have 2 better point guards right now, I would definitely use him. He fits almost every play style aside from 3-point hunting, but he's 6'4". He gets like a lot of steals. He plays great defense. I wish his shooting badges were a little bit better, but that's about it. The moments one would go right here too. I prefer this one. And the reason for that is the Hall of Fame floor general, which I think helps a lot, especially if you're with a budget team. But yeah, I would put him like he's going to be higher up towards B tier. Darren Williams. I think Darren Williams is still good, but like if we're talking about price discrepancy, like I would grab Dejante Murray or Cole Anthony over Darren Williams because he's still really expensive. You know what I mean? For a diamond card, even. Trey Young. Come on, you knew Trey Young was going to go high. I love Trey Young. Look, if we're talking strictly next gen, I think Dejante Murray is actually better than Trey Young, but Trey Young is really, really good on current gen because his release is so fast. It's actually fast to the point where it's like hard to time sometimes. The Derrick Roses. I would actually put them both ahead of Darren Williams and Cole Anthony. Derrick Rose is just one of the best rim running cards in the game. And honestly, he can shoot decent. Honestly, like his jump shot is relatively easy to time. I like Derrick Rose base a lot. He just moves so well. Like literally. Devontae Graham. See, I like this card a lot. I'm higher on this card than a lot of people are, I think. Bottom of C tier kind of makes sense to me. I don't know how you feel about it. Allen Iverson. See, certain detractors will love Allen Iverson. Certain people are just Allen Iverson stans, myself included. When I was a child, I played tennis in literal AI basketball shoes because I am hard like that. Yeah, I played tennis. Just leave me alone, okay? Are you shocked? Look, he is good. He's just not really that solid defensively, and he came out a long time ago. He was like one of the best point guards in the game when he came out, though. C tier. Mike Conley. I like Mike Conley a lot. He's an off-ball player's dream. He has some of the best defensive tendencies and the best steal animations in the game. He's actually really good offensively, too, shockingly. We usually never get a good Mike Conley card. This is what I've been saying for 2K for a long period of time. They are not very good, or at least in the past, they haven't been very good at putting out cards at the right time. And 2 guys that I will say that they consistently put out at the wrong time are Mike Conley and Louis Dampier. And the reason I say that is because we typically do not get a, pack or grindable version of Mike Conley or Louis Dampier until well into the dark matter or opal area of the game when people are running 6'11" Giannis point guards. So they basically are completely unusable the moment they come out. What was that? What word did I just say? Moment they come out. Mike Conley this year, now that we're getting him early enough where like a pure 3-and-D point guard is usable, and a small one at that, shows how good this card can be and how good Mike Conley is as a player in 2K when put out at the right time. A lot of the reason we find cards trash, quote unquote, or not good or not meta is because they're released at the wrong point in the game's lifespan. Mike Conley is one of those guys. If they just kept point guards to being all like Magic 6'9", and honestly, everyone would just use Magic at that point, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Steph Curry. I feel you. I feel you feverishly typing right now in anger. I feel that. I'm speaking to you with an open heart directly. Okay? There's 2 other Steph Currys on this list, so hold off. All right? This Steph Curry is just slightly worse than another Steph Curry. He's the best card in B tier. Just breathe. Do some breathing exercises. Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is really, really solid. There's not really much to say. Everybody kind of knows about this card. He's like the budget player's best friend. Pretty much everyone has this card. He's great. I would say he's worse than Murray, Trey, and Steph, but he's better than Derrick Rose. He rim runs pretty well, I would say. This sideways visor is not comfortable on my head. Stevie Franchise, A tier. It's been a long time since we got an elite Steve Francis card. I would say the last time I remember a Steve Francis card being legitimately elite was 2K18. The domination reward from 2K18, that card was incredible. I think it was 2K18. It might have been 2K17. I can't remember. There was Jason Kidd was one of them, like Phoenix Suns, Jason Kidd, and he was actually good. That was back when the domination rewards were good. Draymond was okay this year, but like, man. Anyway, Steve Francis is incredible. He's not the greatest defender, but he moves, I would say, better than any point guard in this game as far as dribbling. That's my opinion on it, and I feel like a lot of people have the same opinion. He shoots well, he dunks over almost anybody, and you can apply the defensive badges and stats that make him better. Russell Westbrook, B. If he could shoot the three a little bit better, he would be A tier, but he's still a lockdown defender. He still dunks really well. If you're playing against the CPU, like if you're playing domination or something, they just refuse to guard Russell Westbrook on the 3-point line. I think it has to do with his 3-point tendencies all being 0. So that's pretty cool. But I still think like Steve Francis is so much better than him that he can't even be on the same tier. Stephon Marbury, he's just worse Derrick Rose. Dinwiddie. I would say Dinwiddie's still good, 6'6" point guard, decent badge count. Altogether, really solid. He came out on the 22nd of October, so he's a wee bit outdated at this point. Eric Snow. I would say he's not really better than Darren Williams. I don't think I'm a base 22 stan, so that makes sense. Eric Snow is one of the more overrated cards in this game. That doesn't mean he's not good. It's just people overrate budget flash cards. Like the budget glitch guys always get at least slightly overrated. That does not count for Marcus Smart, though. Marcus Smart is every bit as fire as advertised. Eric Snow's pretty good. He's just got a weird jump shot. I'm not a huge fan of it, but he's solid. Downtown Fred Brown. D. I know this one's going to have some fervor to it as well. People like this card. He's a budget Kyrie. I know. I'm not a big fan of Kyrie regardless. I just think the guys in C tier are objectively better than Fred Brown. I do. He has whack hot zones. Like, not the greatest badge count. If you badge one up, yeah, he's probably like C tier, but I think he's D tier. Fred VanVleet, C. I mean, he still plays good defense. He shoots the 3. This card came out a long time ago. He was in the first Flash set, and this guy was my point guard for a long period of time. Gary the Glove Payton, S tier. He is the fakest point guard in this entire game. This man is so like ridiculous defensively that he can get like contact animations on post-ups from David Robinson, right? Like David Robinson could post up on Gary Payton and he can actually defend it. This is the only counter to post cheesing in regards to another card on this list. Gary Payton can play defense on literally all 5 positions. And here's the kicker. You can literally off-ball him into oblivion. Like literally, you could sit there and play with your wings or your center and have Gary Payton just run freely, controlled by the CPU, and disrupt the entire game plan. I hate him so much. Gilbert Arenas. He's still B tier. I think this card doesn't get like love because he has kind of a mid jump shot, but he's still a really solid card. Gilbert Arenas just gets no love ever since 2K19. Swear. IT. I still think he's one of the best cards in B tier. If we're talking current gen, I think he is ahead of Steph Curry, but I'll put him behind him. He's one of the most well-rounded point guards in the game. I like IT a lot. The fact that he's like 20K right now is absurd. I like it. Jaylen Brunson. Jaylen Brunson's decent, but like C tier. Jalen Suggs, C tier. He's great. If Jalen Suggs and Davion Mitchell did a fusion dance and became one god tier Sapphire player with the offensive Jalen Suggs and the defensive Davion Mitchell, I would literally put them in A tier. That'd be the most broken budget card in this game. But alas, that's not the case. Jamal Murray. He's just outdated. He's decent, though. If we get another one soon, he'll be really good. I guarantee we get one in Season 3. Steve Nash. I mean, he's a good 300. He can move relatively well. I mean, he wasn't even the best point guard when he came out, I don't think. So, all right. See, there. Steph Curry, A tier. This one's better because he has Hall of Fame chef. He's much better than this one. Everyone knows it. I'm going to put him in A tier. It's Steph Curry. You guys know the drill. This Trey Young. Now, this Trey Young is much, much better offensively. Much, much worse defensively. So, for that reason, I'll put him in the middle here. So, Trey Young here. Trey Young here. Murray here. Good? Okay. James Silas, F tier. I like James Silas, but yeah. John Moran, this one probably ruffles some feathers too, but A tier. I think he is better than all the cards in B tier. I love this card so much. He dunks over everybody. He moves relatively well. If you put the appropriate defensive badges on him, he becomes a relatively solid defender. Nothing wrong with this card. I like him a lot. At certain points, I prefer him over Steve Francis. At other points, I prefer Steve Francis over him. It really just kind of depends on like how much you like to dribble. Steve Francis is a much better dribbler. He moves a lot different than John Morant, but better. John Morant's more hold turbo and attack the rim, so it just kind of depends. Jason Kidd. B. He's a great defender, and he's a decent facilitator. He's a pretty good facilitator. His jump shot's not as bad as it has been in the past, surprisingly, and he gets a lot of steals. I would probably put him like over here. On current gen, I would honestly put him like high. Next gen, he's not really great. His jump shot is actually really bad on next gen, I would say. Jason the Jet Terry. Both of them will go right here. Unmasked version, significantly better than the masked version. You notice I haven't been putting multiple versions. Like I didn't put the NBA 75 and the limited edition Jason Kidd on here, just because there's really no difference between the cards. These two have a massive difference. So this one has gold blinders. This one does not. This one has near endgame defensive settings. This one just has okay defensive settings. That's why I prefer Jason Terry over Jason Terry. I guess the non-masked one is what I meant to say. My brain is fried today, apparently. John Stockton. Now, on next gen, I think that John Stockton is a little bit better than Jason Kidd. That's not a popular opinion, but I would put him like right here. John Stockton gets more steals than anyone in the game on next gen. I swear. Like Gary Payton plays lanes better. Same with Jason Kidd, but John Stockton will straight rip the ball out of people's hands at such a high clip, it doesn't make any sense. Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder is actually pretty good, but like C tier. John Wall. S. I think if we're talking well-rounded, he's the most well-rounded point guard in this game, even better than Gary Payton. Gary Payton's just, his defense is so overpowered that I think he deserves to be ranked ahead of John Wall. But John Wall literally does everything. He's the most complete point guard in this entire game. Jose Calderon. See? Still a great three-point hunting point guard. There's nothing wrong with him. Jrue Holliday, excellent defender, a card that I really, really like and used for a long period of time. He's really similar to Hal Greer. Like, those two cards are really similar. Jrue Holiday is a slightly better defender. Hal Greer is a slightly better offensive player, but same concept. Kyle Lowry, I think this card gets slept on a lot, but he's actually really good. Chris Paul. I'd probably put Chris Paul in C tier. Same with his alter ego version would also go right here. I just think his jump shot is a little bit slow. On next gen, I think he's way better than on current gen. Kyrie, I can hear the typing already. I know people like Kyrie, but he's only got gold badges, no Hoffs, which is one thing. That's not really the biggest deal in the world. He plays like no defense whatsoever. He's just an outdated card. He was out season 1. C tier is fine for him, I swear. Dunktober Dennis Schroeder is easily the worst card on this list, and I will stand firmly with that position. Leandro Barbosa, kind of tight. I put him in D tier. He's got a slow jump shot. Same with Dave Bing. Literally, I think they have the same jump shot. Damien Lillard. Man, this card, I feel like we didn't truly appreciate how good this card was in season 1. I mean, we did, but I feel like we didn't at the same time. This card was so overpowered for season 1. Every time I get him in draft, I get so excited. Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier's still good, just got a pretty cheeks jump shot, in my opinion. The Joe Ingles base just doesn't suit him well. Still a great defender, great facilitator, though. Put him in B. Louis Dampier. C tier. Come on, it's my boy Louis. I'll put Allen Iverson ahead of him. Put AI ahead of Kyrie. I don't even care. Once again, just kind of what I was saying with Mike Conley. Same goes for Louis Dampier. They always try to give Louis Dampier out in like May for some reason when people have point guard Ben Simmons and point guard Giannis's that shoot threes. So we never really get to see if this card is any good. This year we actually got one early and we could actually see that he was pretty decent, which I think is cool. I'm glad 2K did that this year. Lucius Allen. If we're ranking by mustaches alone, my man is S tier for sure. But I'd probably put him over here by Davion. Yeah, by Davion Mitchell, I would say. great defender, decent facilitator, but that's all he really brings to the table. If you upgrade some of his facilitating badges and shooting badges, he's actually okay. You know, I could put him higher, but, you know, Mo Williams, pretty decent, but a terrible jump shot. I put him in D tier. Oh, I know people are going to be upset about this one, but Oscar Robertson is like, he's B tier, I think. Honestly, I would put him ahead of Dinwiddie. I would put him ahead of Cole Anthony. I would put him, I actually like Kyle Lowry a lot, so I'm not necessarily going to put him above Kyle Lowry or Darren Williams. I actually like Eric Snow. Yeah, there are issues with Oscar Robertson, but I think this card gets a bad rap. People say he's so much worse than he actually is. Look, he's not worth locking in for. If you did, I'm so sorry that you did that. But he's still an oversized point guard that moves pretty decent. Kobe White. See, he's okay. I mean, yeah, I'd put him behind like Lucius Allen. He's decent. I mean, he's a score first point guard. That's what you're looking for. He's okay. Patty Mills. He's a base 98 point guard. He's not the greatest defender. He needs some badge additions, but he's good. I would use him over Kyrie. I wouldn't use him over Louis Dampier, but that's because me and Louis Dampier have a special bond. It has nothing to do with card skill. Slick Watts. Fully evoed Slick Watts is like, you know, C tier somewhere. He's all right, I guess, like right there. Plays good defense, can shoot decently, easy to time jump shot. Penny Hardaway, A tier. If he could play better defense, I would put him in S tier, but he does have some noticeable weaknesses, those being on the defensive end. Granted, you can mask those with, like, you know, throwing a different player onto their primary ball handler or scorer, and then using Penny as more of a zone player. But, like, I can't overlook the obvious issues with Penny Hardaway, and that is his defensive prowess. He's 6'7", though. He's big. He can post hook people into oblivion if you're on next gen. He can rim run. He dunks over everybody. He's the best card in A tier, I think. I think that's pretty clear to everyone. If you're a three-pointer hunter, obviously you're going to use Steph Curry. If you're more of a dribble god, you're going to use Steve Francis, but, you know. Pistol Pete Maravich. I would say Pistol Pete goes about right here. He's good. I've never been a huge Pete Maravich fan in the early game. I actually like him like towards the end of the year when we start getting Pete Maravich cards that like have defensive badges and stuff. I actually start to like him, but at the beginning of the year, I'm just not really a three-point hunter and not really an offensive first guy. Clearly, you guys have watched me, so I'm just not a huge fan of him, but depending on play style, you could bring him up higher in B tier, but I think this is appropriate for him. Rajon Rondo. I know, people are going to be upset. I think he's C tier. And no, I'd put him in B tier, actually. Rondo's decent. Yeah, Rondo's okay. He plays really, really, really good defense. He's not quite as good as someone like Jason Kidd or Murray, who both play incredible defense, or even John Stockton, but I think he's solid. I'd put him like Oscar Robertson level. He just can't shoot, so people will just assume he's trash based solely on that most of the time. Ricky Rubio. I like Ricky Rubio. He's good. Ricky Rubio's solid. A lot of hate for this card, too. I don't know why. Rod Strickland. This one is not going to be popular, but I actually think Rod Strickland's B tier. Rod Strickland, once again, another card that they just released early this time, so like people would actually use him. He's not that bad. He's pretty decent. Ron Harper. I mean, he's got a big player build. For that reason, I'd put him in C tier, but he's not really that good. Gets a lot of steals, though. Russell Westbrook. He's a great rim runner, but like he doesn't bring you anything else. Like semi-okay defense, and that's about it. So for that reason, I'd probably put him in D. Seth Curry I'd put in D too, and that's just for lack of badges. I really like the card though, so I could see someone arguing he's like low C tier instead of D tier, but D. And finally, Sleepy Floyd. Sleepy Floyd's still pretty good. I would actually throw him like Oscar Robertson, Rondo area, somewhere around there. He's a overall pretty solid guard, but he was an exchange reward from season 1, so you know he is a little bit outdated at this point, but I still think he's really decent. So let me know what you think of the list down in the comments below. Look, be nice, okay? I'm sure this video is going to have a dislike before it even premieres, but it is what it is. As always, been your boy Cheap Blues. Drop a like on this video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to drop the shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center tier list throughout this week. Might do them live on Twitch. I am Twitch streaming later. I just don't know because I've been having a lot of cutout issues in regards to Twitch, so we'll figure that out, I guess. But have a good day.